Residents lined East Overland this morning to show support for those who have proudly served our country. KNEB.TV News starts right now.
From your trusted source for news in western Nebraska and eastern Wyoming, this is KNEB.TV News. Presented by Platte Valley Companies, premier provider of financial services.
Hello, I'm Ryan Murphy. This is KNEB.TV News powered by Platte Valley Companies. Thanks for joining me. In our top story, cold temperatures couldn't stop the city of Scottsbluff's annual Veterans Day Parade this morning. East Overland was lined with members of the community showing their support for all of the veterans who have served our country. During today's parade, there were lots of great floats, many law enforcement and first responder vehicles, multiple marching bands, the Scottsbluff High School ROTC cadets, and a whole lot more, making the 2022 Veterans Day Parade another successful one. Well, now that voters in Scottsbluff have rejected a half-cent sales tax proposal that would have funded a new aquatic center in the community, those who would have benefited from the facility are exploring their options. Scottsbluff Public Schools Superintendent Dr. Andrew Dick told KNEB News they will continue with the status quo as they explore their options.
Obviously, in my position, I'm disappointed for our CCAT swim team and some of the benefits that could have been provided for our curricular programming, but we certainly respect the decision made by the voters in the city limits of Scottsbluff on this particular initiative. So in the short term, Scottsbluff Public Schools will continue to partner with the Scottsbluff Family YMCA to provide a competition pool for our practices. Obviously it's a little bit shorter than regulation length and does not have the dive well for us to be able to have a dive team, but it does give us a place that we can practice. We cannot hold meets there.
The proposition failed during Tuesday's election, with 52% voting against the measure, with 48% in favor. We'll have more news right after this.
Looking for free instead of fees? Platte Valley Bank can help you keep your finances moving forward with no ATM fees. Whether you're headed to the lake, the mountains, or just to the grocery store, you can enjoy the freedom of free ATM access anywhere, anytime. Platte Valley Bank. You belong here.
Life Care promises us that we are looked after and taken care of properly.
If I didn't have Life Care, I would be probably scared to death about having enough money for when I got older or when I got sick.
Moving in here was an easy decision and in fact a no-brainer. I looked at it as actually buying long-term care insurance and in retrospect a good move.
One of the things that convinces me that we did the right thing is no matter what happens, we will constantly be taken care of.
The whole thing is just vital because you don't have to be worried about what's ahead for you. It's there, it's in black and white, and that's reassuring.
This is home. It has been from the day I moved in.
Welcome back. A Scottsbluff man who was arrested in March following an altercation with his brother at a Gering grocery store has been sentenced to prison. 37-year-old Anthony Gonzalez and his brother Leonard were arrested after ramming their vehicles into each other and breaking glass out of the vehicle's windows. Leonard also firing a shot in the air with a handgun. Yesterday in Scottsbluff County District Court, Anthony Gonzalez was sentenced to a total of 4 to 8 years in prison after pleading no contest to charges of attempted second-degree assault, intentional second-degree assault, and use of a deadly weapon to commit a felony. His brother Leonard is scheduled to be back in court on November 16th for his pre-trial hearing on similar charges. Well, a Gering man who was arrested in March following a series of controlled drug buys conducted by the Wing Drug Task Force has withdrawn his no contest plea and looks to stand trial in the early part of 2023. 39-year-old Santos Gutierrez was scheduled to be sentenced on Thursday morning in Scottsbluff County District Court after initially pleading to the amended charge of attempted distribution of a controlled substance. In court documents, investigators say he sold meth to cooperating individuals working with the Wing Drug Task Force in June and August of 2021, involving a total of nearly a gram of the narcotic. District Judge Leo Dobrovolny accepted Gutierrez's motion to withdraw his plea and scheduled the matter to be continued to January 18th for a pre-trial hearing. And Thursday was Winter Weather Awareness Day in Nebraska, and emergency management officials across the state are promoting preparedness. Irv Portis, Nebraska Emergency Management Assistant Director, says for anyone who has survived a Nebraska winter, it's easy to remember the issues heavy snowfall and extreme cold can cause, and the need for a preparedness plan at home and work. Portis says we should all have a winter storm plan and supply kit that will enable us to survive for up to 72 hours without any outside assistance. You can find tips for preparedness plans and kits at the NEMA website or at ready.gov/winter-weather.
Welcome to Kelly's, home of the Valley's best selection of wine, spirits, and beer. Whether you're brand loyal to the tried and true brew or really enjoy trying something different and new, Kelly's has something for everyone. Family owned and operated and right on your way on West 27th Street in Scotts Bluff. Kelly's Liquor. If you can't find it at Kelly's, it's not worth drinking.
I really like how our OB department takes our limited amount of doctors and turns it into a strength. Even though we only have a couple of people, you get to know them well over your entire pregnancy. We have 2 state-of-the-art labor rooms that are new with our last addition. We have a couple of very nice postpartum rooms also right here in the hospital, so they can get as much time with mom and baby as possible.
Logos in Gearing is the place to get all of your school spirit gear, personalized gifts, and promotional items for your business and employees, and banners for any special event. Logos is also the only place to stop for custom screen printing or embroidery. You can even design it yourself on their interactive website. Stop into Logos today. They'll design it, print it, and have it to you in no time. There's no job too big or small for Logos. That's Logos in Gearing.
The Evergreen Credit Card by FNBO. Earn unlimited 2% cash back on every purchase. Every day. Everywhere. Never worry about expiring points or category restrictions. Plus, there's no annual fee. Only from the Great Big Small Bank. A bank ever ready for you to earn more, wherever life leads. Evergreen by FNBO.
I'm Jason Jorgensen. It is once again time for another version of Husker Chat. It's brought to you by Acres Equipment. As always, we're joined by Sean Callahan, HuskerOnline.com. Sean, I thought for a moment there, maybe a half, we might have a big Husker upset win to talk about, but unfortunately in Nebraska, not enough in the tank in quarters 3 and 4. They put a good scare into the Gophers, but not enough to get it done.
Yeah, they were really close. I mean, the first half was arguably the best half Nebraska's played all season. The Gophers only had 4 possessions in the first half, and they go 0 for 4. Nebraska scores points on their first 2 drives, touchdown and field goal. And you're like, man, they're really in this thing. But as Mickey Joseph said, Minnesota still was able to stay in their game. I think Nebraska needed to get one more score on there to really get the Gophers out of what they want to do. They weren't a good throwing team. They just wanted to grind and run the ball. And unfortunately, Nebraska's offense went 7 consecutive empty possessions without points, the 7th being a turnover. They had 5 3-and-outs in those 7 empty possessions, and that allowed Minnesota to win the game.
That's been a lot of the talk post game from that, folks talking about the quarterback situation. It's never easy when you lose your starter. It's too bad Casey Thompson couldn't have played that game. You have to think Nebraska would have put a big run to the Gophers had he been able to play. What's your take on the quarterbacks, and then maybe the bigger story on, them deciding who actually plays and who gets how many snaps?
Yeah, it is quite the issue right now. Casey Thompson, we're not expecting to see him this week. So then that leads you to the discussion of Logan Smothers or Chubba Purdy. And I think we've kind of learned that come hell or high water, Mark Whipple believes in Chubba Purdy, and everybody else and what we've seen in the game shows us that Logan Smothers has played better, at least on Saturdays, but we don't get to see practice. That decision will go all the way down to the end of the week. I think they're going to go with Smothers. I would be surprised if they didn't. I think a lot of Husker fans would be disappointed too, because the way Logan played late in the game, it gave him a spark. Chubba Purdy didn't complete a pass that traveled more than 10 yards the entire game.
That's just tough. And that won't work, especially against Big Ten defenses. That's for sure. I wanted to get your take, and we talk every week, but I really haven't asked you this. It was a tough situation, but overall, how do you feel Mickey Joseph has handled things in this interim role?
Yeah, it's not easy. I think every week it's gotten harder. The first week, obviously, out of the gates, first Oklahoma when they were full strength, then knowing probably you were going to fire Eric Chenander the next week, that was a tough week. But then they settled in, they got the 2 wins. And I would even say the Purdue game, they didn't win, but they played well. And that got people excited into the bye week. But the last 2 weeks at home, with the way they've fallen apart against Illinois and now Minnesota, at the quarterback position, particularly, that has made it tough. And then you add in like Miles Farmer this week. He's played the most snaps of any player on defense for Nebraska. Gets a DUI. He's suspended for the game this week at Michigan. So there's just more and more build up. And, we don't know where this head coach thing is going. I think there was a time where people thought maybe Mickey has a chance, and maybe he still does. But, I think the most people feel like Trev's going to go in a different direction. And when will that be? We don't really know, but I think most assume it's going to be right after the Iowa game.
What's your feeling? And of course, it kind of depends upon who becomes head coach, but do you think there is a way that Mickey Joseph eventually stays on this coaching staff?
That's really up to the new coach. Trev can't dictate that. The new coach makes that decision, the head coach, and he might have a, receivers coach. We don't know these things. And then it also comes down to Mickey. Mickey has to want to be here with the new guy too. It's a two-way street. And a lot of things will have to happen from now until then to really, paint a picture so we'll know the answer one way or the other.
All right. This week's game at Michigan, Nebraska about as big of an underdog as they've been in a while. 28 points. Your thoughts on this one? However, Michigan, they kind of stumbled around with Rutgers for a while last Saturday before they eventually pulled away.
Yeah, I mean, Michigan, Penn State, they stumbled around on them too. And Penn State's a good team, but the first half, Penn State was really with them until the third quarter. It broke open. So they've shown some deficiencies at times, but not many. This is the best team Nebraska will play all year. They've got an elite head coach, Jim Harbaugh, who's a great offensive mind. He gets quarterbacks as ready as well as anybody Nebraska will play. I mean, he's just a great quarterback developer coach. And Blake Corum, they're going to see all these great running backs these 4 weeks. They saw Mo Ibrahim last week. The week before that, Chase Brown. Now it's Blake Corum. The next week, it's Braylon Allen from Wisconsin. So they're going to see a good running back every week, and this week's no different.
The defense, though, does seem to have made some improvement. They've under Bill Busch, they've done some things. They've been able to hang in there and haven't been embarrassed.
Yeah, they've played fast, confident. They've made plays. They're not thinking, and I think that's the key. I don't know if they were playing fast before. They just didn't really have a handle on what they wanted to be in their scheme. Even the pass rush started to get home against Minnesota. I mean, there were a lot of promising things for that defense. Unfortunately, though, when your offense goes 0 for 7 on possessions with 5 3-and-outs in there, it's really hard on a defense, really hard.
All right, Sean, as always, appreciate your time. Hopefully the Nebraska can go hang around, maybe surprise some people in the Big House on Saturday.
All right, yeah, it's one of the best places to watch a college football game. Looking forward to going out to Ann Arbor, and hopefully we get a good game out of it too.
All right, that was Sean Callahan of Husker Online joining us. Once again, we are here every week for Husker Chat, and it's brought to you by Acres Equipment. I'm Jason Jorgensen.
The Evergreen Credit Card by FNBO. Earn unlimited 2% cash back on every purchase. Every day. Everywhere. Never worry about expiring points or category restrictions. Plus, there's no annual fee. Only from the Great Big Small Bank. A bank ever ready for you to earn more, wherever life leads. Evergreen by FNBO.
Fly United Airlines, operated by SkyWest with Western Nebraska Regional Airport. United is dedicated to going the extra mile for you with daily flights to and from Denver, along with a commitment to excellent service. Reserve your flight today, and remember, United miles can be earned and redeemed with your flights. While at the airport, stop and enjoy authentic Italian food at Roma Italian Restaurant. Plus, Hertz Thrifty Car Rental is there for your car rental needs. Make life easier, relax, and get on board with Western Nebraska Regional Airport.
Well, let's take a peek at what's happening on your weekend community calendar. The community calendar is brought to you by Riverstone Bank. First State Bank is now Riverstone Bank. Community strong with the same people you know and trust.
You deserve to have a building that will last for generations. With more than 110 years of experience and thousands of satisfied customers, Morton Buildings is the industry leader you can trust. If you're planning for a garage, farm shop, horse barn, storage building for your RV, boat, or collectibles, there's no better time to buy. Contact your local Morton sales office or visit mortonbuildings.com to get started today.
Looking for free instead of fees? Platte Valley Bank can help you keep your finances moving forward with no ATM fees. Whether you're headed to the lake, the mountains, or just to the grocery store, you can enjoy the freedom of free ATM access anywhere, anytime. Platte Valley Bank. You belong here.
And finally, tonight, the 39th annual Thanksgiving in the Valley dinner will be held at the Guadalupe Center in Scottsbluff on Thanksgiving Day. Event organizer Kendra Feather tells KNEB News there is always a need for volunteers to help bring the event together successfully. and this year is no exception.
We're going to have some initial setup on Wednesday, so I could use a crew to help put some tables up and also to do some stuffing of rolls and cookies and things like that. If you're interested in that time period, just give me a call at my office at 633-9497. Even if it's a group, we'd love to have a group. We've had basketball teams in the past. We've had other groups that we're very grateful for to help us out.
If you'd like to help or want more information on the event, you can contact Kendra at 633-9497. And if you'd like to have a meal delivered, call 632-3736. The 39th annual event will be held at the Guadalupe Center in Scottsbluff on Thanksgiving Day from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. Well, that does it for us this time. Thank you so much for tuning in. Have a great weekend. See you back here on Monday.